Good evening, everyone. It's November the 24th, 2024. Today I'm going to give you an update, and I'm going to continue a little with the sprung structures at the rally that I just put up. There was more information on this, and this came in the form of a video that was put out by CBC News. And because we were putting the sprung structures up here, they went down to Toronto to see their sprung structures, and they've got 3 sprung structures that I gathered that they've been putting up since 2019. So it was a very interesting interview. The one that was shown was not as large as ours, where everyone was, there was no privacy. There was this cot by cot, but they had services in there. They had a kitchen in there. They also showed where they had around the structure. Outside, they had like a little vegetable garden for the summer where they got some vegetables and stuff, fresh vegetables that they could pluck and eat. So that was really nice to see that it was more like a community, which this is what some of the residents in the sprung structure were saying, that it was like they were like a little community, and most of them didn't want to fight or that because they had a really nice little community. And if fights broke out, people, I guess, were banned. They had strict rules, I believe, and you have to keep up strict rules. But the staff apparently are at one end of the structure, so with it wide open and just beds there, they can see what's going on and intervene right away if things start getting out of hand. And it was interesting because they were describing how it had been working. It took a little while to get set up. But they have 3 of them, and they find that this is the best way. They talked to one of the clients there. She was expressing that she'd been there for a year and a half, and she was so excited because in about another month she was finally going to get the keys to her own apartment. And she expressed that it was to have some of the addiction services, or at least someone who could help her to get to the addiction services, because she was just a mess when she came in, and now she's looking so far forward to getting some kind of supportive housing that she can be in and continue her journey on getting better. So that was a piece of good news. I don't know how many people have actually graduated out of that situation, but there's at least, for every person, all it takes, even one person, is worth going through all the hassle to get them off the drugs. So that was a piece of good news there. And so now I want to go on to definitely on to what I was doing there on Friday. I had to digest this a little bit. It was an hour long. It was through again my monthly meeting with the Alliance to End Homelessness here in Ottawa. And this is what the discussion panel: how will the 2025 city budget meet Ottawa's housing needs and faster equality? And this was a very interesting one because they had 5 speakers there. One, I believe, was from the city of Ottawa to do with the shelters. There was a youth homeless worker there, someone that was involved with working with youth. And then we had the one that I recognized was from the refugee on the sprung structures. I'd seen him at the rally last weekend. And then they had also a Black mental health worker that was working with the homeless. And the other one was I don't know who the Indigenous man was, but he was again for Indigenous homeless shelters. And he was talking about plans to get one of the federal lands to put up as a shelter there for Indigenous homeless. So it was quite an interesting meeting. It actually went over time. We started at 9, but usually we're ending up by 10 because we get half an hour for a speaker, but we had a number of speakers this time. So, and it ends at 9:30, and then we get a half an hour to do questions, but that didn't quite work out that way. We only got a couple of questions answered as we're running over time. But it was some of the discussion was never enough money, but they're glad for whatever they can get in the budget to help. And I know that the gentleman for the sprung structure for the refugees was really thrilled to get the money from the city to try and ease the burden and do the cultural things with the sprung structure there. And the interesting thing is, the structures that are in Toronto, we're getting the deluxe structure. We're getting the one that's much bigger, and it has actually little cubicles, so the people have a little bit of privacy in the sprungs in this particular structure. So it's going to be much bigger with more things available for them to for resources to go to. So it looks really good. And then one of the things that is interesting, that is, I've always said that sharing information and stuff can be very, very difficult, I should say, to do with the organizations and things. And even one of them came out with, even though they're with organizations, they're saying we really need to be able to share more information between the other organizations that are doing the same things as we are, just in different capacities. And then I'm thinking, well, what would that what would this sharing look like as the Ottawa Police Hub gathers everyone together to share information? Also, as I pointed out, often, for example, nonprofit organizations are very tight-lipped to the community about what they're doing. Even the city services are tight-lipped to the community on how, or they feel that they are the experts, or at least give off that impression to the community that they know what is best, and what we have to say is not worth acknowledging our concerns. This was something addressed by a citizen in the CBC broadcast on the sprung structure, because as we, as a community, let me read this, want to know what we can do, as these people from the streets are part of our community. We're not always there to just criticize, but to see and deal with problems that affect us all in living in a peaceful and functional community for everyone. For example, we are often butt-headed by an organization when we ask how they are dealing with problems that is affecting us all, and often only get generic answers from them, which is very frustrating to the community. This is one reason I support the Police Hub, as the police were as the police, my goodness, the community, or the community along our services, as a place where the community along with our services can get together with the police as peaceful negotiators rather than extreme enforcement on the streets all the time. Sorry, even I have trouble reading my own writing sometimes. The go-between citizens and organizations dealing with the homeless problem, which is everyone's problem. The community frustration are spilling over. So last week, the head of our Security and Safety Committee held a special Zoom meeting, which I'm on that committee as well. This was a separate meeting from our normal meeting once a month, when we address our communities as well as hear from the police, counselor, etc. We took our own notes about their frustrations. A lot are the same frustrations we all are having, and sometimes receive bits of new information comes to light on what is being seen in the area, which is very useful in helping to pass on and deal with things unknown. This brings us to another thing that was mentioned by one of the speakers who deals with the youth. Why are we not focusing on more prevention rather than constantly dealing with the aftermath? Very good question. Constant question that comes up. This was the second time this week that I saw the word prevention mentioned. This time it was from the police on the news. There was another big drug bust. 3 people were arrested, and more weapons, drugs, and money off the streets. It is one thing to ask to have enforcement, but why is there not enough intervention before it gets to the level of enforcement constantly? Good question again. We all seem to be going in circles, asking the same questions over and over again. That's what a lot of us feel. We're just constantly going around each other in circles. As for sharing, what I've seen from the CBC video, it seems to be working. Not perfect, but as it was noted by the panel, getting permanent housing takes a lot of time and effort. Not that we should give up by any means. However, these spring structures may be the way to go temporarily while we are in the long-term process of getting housing built. For example, Indigenous people, housing people was trying to start the process to use land or a building freed up by the federal government to use as more Indigenous housing. So there again, right on the panel, is a good example. We're still in the fight here, but it does seem to take so long. And as I explained, this 48-unit apartment building certainly took a long time and is still in progress there to get finished. We can argue all we want, but that never gets us anywhere, and this is one of the fastest and cost-effective ways to get something done in the meantime. In the meantime, we keep up the pressure for affordable and supportive housing, as well as supporting and looking for ways in preventative measures, as well as addiction services, and also keep up the enforcement on the streets to get more deadly drugs off our streets. Please don't forget, we're all in this together, as this crisis affects us all and on our whole community. And so I just wanted to give an update today, a little bit more on how I feel and the situation we're in and what hopefully can be done. But this is a long-term battle. We're in it for the long term. That's what I see. And I don't want people to give up. I don't want people to feel discouraged, because, boy, even I can feel discouraged at times. So I'm only human, and we're all only human. But it's a long battle, and part of the process here, too, that I'm seeing is when you have the workers, they're getting burnt out very quickly. I see clients that they're complaining because these workers are constantly on turnover. They get to know someone, they get to start trusting someone, and then they're gone. And then they have to start from square one again, and that's not always the easiest way to do it. So I'm seeing a turnover. I'm seeing things that are happening here that we need to address. The turnovers, what can we do to keep them? How can we keep the mental health up? Because it's affecting the workers' mental health as well. So I'm not disregarding the workers here too. It's taking a toll on all of us. So I just want to leave it there today. And everyone, take care. We'll talk again soon. Be safe, watch your surroundings, and bye-bye. Talk to you soon.